Don't make it lewd. Now it's like a prenatal class. Isn't that the most satanic shit you've ever seen? Hello lovely people, my name is Emma, welcome back to my channel, welcome if you are new. Before we dive into a very ridiculous and fun story today, it is Pride Month. The gays have a whole month now? Unbelievable, isn't it? Judging by a lot of the comments I get, even people who know that I'm queer don't know that I'm bi. So, for the sake of visibility in Pride, hello, I'm still bi. Assuming YouTube allows it, I think it will because this is a really big, well-known UK charity. This video will be a fundraiser for Stonewall. If it's not, I'll put a link in a pinned comment and you can kind of use it the same way. It is Pride, it's a time to celebrate who you are. A lot of our friends in a lot of places, including in the UK, are suffering really badly right now. There has been a fresh wave of backlash against particularly trans people, but the LGBTQ+ community overall. So if you are interested, please consider supporting Stonewall, read up about the work they do, really great charity. Down below I'm going to put a bunch of links to some of the best resources specifically on trans people that I think are really good, made by trans people, to help increase understanding from a scientific perspective as well as a personal perspective. Considering what anti-trans people acknowledge is true about how small a minority trans people are globally, they really are hyper-focused on taking rights away from trans people right now. So consider watching those, support those creators, support Stonewall. So if you're in the US or elsewhere, drop your favourite local charities down below so that people can find those. On with the stupid video to cheer us all up. I was tagged in a post on Twitter about this absolutely incredible Facebook post by a Christian woman about a demonic, satanic toy. This is Yoga Barbie. Now, admittedly, I had like one Barbie as a kid, but I did play the PC games to death and watch a lot of the movies when I was little. I used to really love the voice actor from Barbie because she also voiced Sango in the American dub of Inuyasha. Mock my nerdness in the comments if you wish. I understand what I sound like. Anyway, the point is I have a real soft spot for Barbie. There are a couple of the Barbie PC games that just shaped my life. I tended to find the stories in the Barbie movies and stuff very inspiring. They're about being kind to your friends, your siblings, you might fight but we all make it up in the end. They're very positive. Barbie's whole thing is be who you want to be. B-A-I-B-I-E. I'm so cringe. I never encountered anything that made me think, hang on, this might be demonic. That is until today. This is a hilariously silly but surprisingly common thing. God is apparently absent from the world, letting us contract deadly diseases and be exposed to natural disasters. That's all part of the plan. But Satan, he takes an active role in our lives, including through the medium of children's toys. This post is deeply hilarious, but it also reveals a very common misunderstanding and misrepresentation of Eastern religion, and just sort of places it as something that is just the product of the devil, rather than a religion of its own that has expanded through its own cultures, you know, the same way they might look at Christianity. Those of us that grow up with a very Christian-centric exposure to religion are prone to these misunderstandings. I include myself in that. I know my atheism is very heavily influenced by and kind of revolves around Christianity and my experiences of that, which is something that I'm slowly trying to deconstruct. Would you believe Christian Mum versus Yoga Barbie has actually been a really good opportunity for me to do that? Let's crack on and read the post. Y'all know I love toys. I got Mass Effect toys in view right there. I get comments about having toys and being an adult. They're not all toys. Okay, some of them are figurines. Regardless, I like toys and games and things. I think it's fun. I think play is valuable as an adult. Whatever, it's not really relevant. The only time I nearly bought Barbie as an adult and regret not doing is when I saw some Star Trek Barbie, some like retro Star Trek Barbie at like a retro game event. And I didn't buy it and I still regret it. One day, I will find you again, Star Trek Barbie. For the sake of the ridiculousness of this post, and the people who criticise me for enjoying toys, I'm gonna have this entire post read by a puppet. Take it away, buddy.
Yoga Barbie is that target on the shelf. Satan always comes as appearing innocent. He will never come with horns and a pitchfork. This Barbie has 5 guided meditations. Remember, yoga is Hinduism. You cannot separate the poses from the religion. Each pose is designed to invoke a Hindu deity in the spirit realm. I have seen children get possessed by demons. This Barbie also teaches you deep breathing, pranayama. Her pet is also involved. Satan is after the children. He wants to use them and indoctrinate them for his glory. Then, when he is done, he will destroy them. As your kids grow, they will get rebellious, depressed, and many will be suicidal. You won't understand what's happening as a parent. God forbids all practices of Eastern religion as a Christian. You must remove all toys and clean your children's room of all demonic attachments. Deuteronomy 18:10-12. For more helpful information, visit my own website. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Yep, Yoga Barbie is demonic. Yoga is Hinduism. There's so much in this post. I know that Simon Dan included it in his Facebook science video a while ago, and part of me thought maybe I don't need to cover it, but he just sort of read it amongst loads of other stuff, and I found there was so much in here to unpack that I wanted to do it, so I am. So, Yoga Barbie is at Target on the shelf. That is such a bizarre statement on its own. Like, where else would it be if it was at Target? This is at Target, on the floor, in the bin, where I put it, because it's demonic. Yoga is Hinduism. Yoga is Hinduism is such a weirdly wrong thing to say, I don't even know where to begin. On the plus side, I've learned some interesting stuff, which I will now share with you. The origins of yoga are actually unknown, or at least disputed. We know it originated in India over 5,000 years ago. There are two broad theories, and I will leave some sources down below, including, again, BBC Bite Size, which is for kids doing their GCSEs. Look. 16-year-olds doing their GCSEs know so much more about a topic than I do. I'm not ashamed to use this resource. Alright, it is funny though, it is funny. So there's the linear model. This is mainly supported by Hindu scholars, which holds that yoga has Vedic origins, Vedic texts being the oldest scriptures in Hinduism. Then there's the synthesis model, which is favoured by Western scholars. That puts yoga's creation as a synthesis of indigenous, non-Vedic, and Vedic elements. So kind of a combination of all of these sources. Angry Christian Mum is correct that yoga is a practice deeply tied to, and at least partly originating in Hinduism. She's just wrong about everything else. We'll get to that shortly. The idea that yoga is Hinduism is bollocks, because firstly, you don't have to practice yoga to be a Hindu. It's difficult because what she means by yoga is slightly different to what yoga means in Hinduism, because there's different types of yoga. You don't have to do, sitting on a mat on the floor doing stretches. You don't have to do that to be a Hindu. Secondly, yoga is also practiced in Jainism and Buddhism, and, here's the bit that we already knew, by many, many people worldwide as a non-religious practice. I know for a fact there are plenty of Christians here who do yoga and have not been plagued by demons as a result. Depending on the places I've done it, there are certainly some places I've done yoga where there's been at least half the class has been Christians, because they benefit from stretching and exercise as much as anyone else. Just knock something on the floor. Oh, it was setting spray. I'm going to use that to cool my face down. I opened my mouth at the wrong time. There! Do I look wet now? This is going weird. I found an article that I will also link down below on a study done in India on how many people practice yoga and the data split by religion. It's really interesting. Here you go. Hindus are not the religion in India most likely to practice yoga. That falls to Jains and Sikhs. And then Buddhists and Hindus are about even. 36% of Hindus in India say they practice yoga, which is a percentage not massively higher than the Christians and Muslims in India who also practice yoga. Regardless, the majority in every religious group do not practice yoga. You don't have to practice yoga to be a Hindu, or a Buddhist, or a Jainist. But it helps! Each pose is designed to invoke a Hindu deity in the spirit realm. I assume she got this information from the school of her own arse. The point of yoga in Hinduism, as much as I understand it, reminder, beginner, learning new things. Technically I did learn about Hinduism in school. That was just so long ago. We didn't do nearly as much of that as we did Christianity. So, it's new. Forgive me, and please correct me if I get anything wrong. In Hinduism, yoga is important to connect with or be closer to Brahman. Apparently there are 4 different types of yoga in Hinduism. There's jnana yoga, which is done by Hindus who have given up worldly possessions and want to focus on trying to be in unity with God. They study the Hindu holy books to understand Brahman in more depth. Raja yoga is focused on Antaryami, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, which means Brahman within humans, which is a meditative yoga which is mainly used by Hindu holy men who complete mantras to focus on Brahman. Karma yoga is probably one that we're most familiar with. This type of yoga is about focusing on doing good things and helping those around you. So demonic! The idea is to try not to focus on the material in life and instead focus on the spiritual. Doing good things gains a person good karma, therefore helps to achieving moksha. In the Bhagavad Gita, which is an important Hindi holy book, Lord Krishna explains that selfless action is the best example of karma yoga. So, sorry Christian mum, anytime somebody is doing a selfless act, that's Hinduism. 4th type is Bhakti yoga. That type of yoga is about worship and showing God love and devotion. This might be done through prayer to an image of a deity in the shrine at home. Hindus want to make it clear to Brahman that Brahman is the most important being, and Bhakti yoga is about showing this through worship, not too dissimilar from prayer in other faiths, like Christianity. So correct me if I'm wrong, but nowhere in any of this yoga practice, most of which is not the kind of yoga that she's referring to anyway, but nowhere in any of this is the summoning of Hindu deities, and therefore demons, because Hindu deities are just demons in disguise. The Christian deity, that's the real one. Do you know how we know that? Because the Bible says so. There's just so little self-awareness in religious people who really heavily criticize and demonize other religions that share so many things in common with their own. I most commonly see this between Christianity and Islam, each kind of condemning the other as the evil false religion that is actually satanic. I love this. Her pet is also involved. There's no explanation as to what that means or why that's bad. It's just you also get a dog with this toy. If anything, that's a selling point. God forbids all practices of Eastern religion as a Christian. Technically correct? God forbids all practices of any other religion, any other idol worship. I don't know why specifically this woman has this boner for hating on Eastern religion. We talked about in the Scammer Priestess video, I think this is just a side effect of growing up in a very Christian-centric world in the West, treating other cultures and other religions as kind of exotic and, far away, so different and distant. I think this is one of the side effects of that. She ends the post by quoting, of all things, Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is the 5th book of the Pentateuch, aka the Old Testament and the Torah. It is one of the most grisly and unpleasant of all the Bible. I'm finding this word hard to say. This is the chapter where we get the Deuteronomic code. Deuteronomic. I got it. Yeah. The Deuteronomic code. The law of practicing religion in Israel. It explains how we're supposed to tithe. It explains how we're supposed to sacrifice animals. This is also where we condemn the mixing of fabric, livestock, different types of crops. Then we get regulations for how to treat our slaves, regulations for how to treat the slaves we've taken in war. My point by making a lot of these things known is that Deuteronomy, and specifically the reciting of the Ten Commandments, is something that is referenced by modern Christians a lot, despite the fact that none of them actually adhere to all the laws. Here you go, I'll give you some quotes from the New International Version. This is when God is commanding them to drive out other nations. When the Lord your God has delivered them over to you and you have defeated them, you must destroy them totally. Make no treaty with them and show them no mercy. Do not intermarry with them. Do not give your daughters to their sons, or take their daughters for your sons, because the Lord's anger will burn against you and will quickly destroy you. When you march up to attack a city, make its people an offer of peace. Slightly contradictory. If they accept and open their gates, all the people in it shall be subject to forced labour and shall work for you. If they refuse to make peace and they engage you in battle, lay siege to that city. When the Lord your God delivers it into your hand, put to the sword all the men in it. As for the women, the children, the livestock, and everything else in the city, you may take these as plunder for yourselves. When you go to war against your enemies and the Lord your God delivers them into your hands and you take captives, slaves, if you notice among the captives a beautiful woman and are attracted to her, you may take her as your wife. This is one of my favourites, I've referenced this one before. If someone has a stubborn and rebellious son who does not obey his father and mother and will not listen to them when they discipline him, his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him to the elders at the gate of town. They shall say to the elders, "This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us. He is a glutton and a drunkard." Then all the men of this town are to stone him to death. You must purge the evil from among you. All of Israel will hear of it and be afraid. Do not plant two kinds of seed in your vineyard. Do not wear clothes of wool and linen woven together. If a man takes a wife, and after sleeping with her, dislikes her, and slanders her and gives her a bad name, saying, "I married this woman, but when I approached her, I did not find proof of her virginity." Reminder, you cannot prove virginity. It's not a real thing. It's not a physical thing that you can show. It's not real. Then the young woman's father and mother shall bring to the town elders at the gate proof that she was a virgin. Again, not actually physically possible. Her father will say to the elders, "I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Now he has slandered her and said, 'I do not find your daughter to be a virgin, but here is the proof of my daughter's virginity.'" So fucking gross. Then her parents shall display the cloth before the elders of the town, and the elders shall take the man and punish him. If, however, the charge is true, and no proof of the young woman's virginity can be found, which there wouldn't, because it's not a thing, she shall be brought to the door of her father's house, and there the men of the town shall stone her to death. She has done an outrageous thing in Israel by being promiscuous while still in her father's house. You must purge the evil from among you. There are a whole bunch more detestable, super gross parts of Deuteronomy. I just want to highlight what a disgusting, disgusting book Deuteronomy is. It has, laws that are like fine and good, like don't kidnap slaves, don't steal from people, don't murder, it's got some normal stuff in there, but it's kind of overshadowed by all of the horrific stuff. The reason that I waffle about that, by way of this post, this woman is claiming that Deuteronomy is something that is accurate to the Lord's will and must be obeyed for Christians. A, she definitely doesn't obey it. Mixing crops, mixing fabrics. She probably doesn't always obey the Sabbath, It's just not a thing that happens, and most Christians use the New Covenant to explain that, which is fine, but you can't then also use it to condemn Yoga Barbie. Further, if you're advocating for following that verse in Deuteronomy, then you're also advocating for the verses on slavery, stoning people to death. It's just funny to me if you look at Deuteronomy versus, say, for the sake of this post, karma yoga, which is about getting good karma by doing selfless acts. It's like, which one seems like it would actually be the evil demonic influence? Could it be the one that is literally instructing people to kill others and enslave others? But no, Christianity is flawless, and Eastern religion is inherently evil from start to finish. So I went to Facebook and saw this post, and the comments killed me. It's just a long string of people, mostly parents, being like, "Ha ha 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 ha, I bought this for my kid." I almost feel like she could be a plant for Mattel. Is it still Mattel that makes Barbie? It is, right? Anyway, I feel like she has done more for toy sales than she has for anything else. Over here, let me grab you for a second. Over here, I have, behind this monitor, I have a Ouija board. Do you know why I have a Ouija board? Because my Christian dad told me never ever to mess with one. So I got one. That's what people are like, especially kids. Making something like banned or forbidden does nothing but make you want to do it. Someone needs to teach this woman about reverse psychology, because the only effect I can see that her post has had is that a load of people, including me, now own a Yoga Barbie. Like, you press her necklace, she's in little PJs, you press her necklace, What a strange noise. It's got 4 little moods for what mood you're in. I actually think this is a really genius toy for kids to get kids into, first of all, practicing just calming breathing, which for some reason, Christian mum has a problem with deep breathing. Let's hope none of her children ever have a panic attack. But also just self-reflection, explaining how you feel. If you've got a kid who struggles to explain how they feel, you've got a series of moods you can show it with Barbie. I just think that's really smart. Let's get her out. I mean, we've got to see her in her full glory, right? That made it sound weird too. Pretend I didn't say that. It's got a hefty instruction booklet. Pick an emoji to match your feelings. I forgot what it was like trying to open kids' toys. I say as if I haven't bought a kid's toy in a while. Not one like this with all the plastic things. Not like a doll. Whoop. Ah! Yoga Barbie is free. Look how flexible her limbs are so she can do the yoga poses. That's fun. Don't make it lewd. Oh, her ankles are frightening. Now it's like a prenatal class. We're getting there, people. Here's our emojis. So I kind of resent that they're called emojis, but it's okay. I'm feeling pretty happy cloud emoji. So I'm going to put that into the dog. And now the dog is happy cloud emoji. Isn't that the most satanic shit you've ever seen? There we go. That's Yoga Barbie. I know this was a bit silly. It was, for me, it was an opportunity to learn a bit about yoga because, you know, it's something I've done without really being aware of the origins. It's cool to learn a little bit about how that works in Hinduism, and it's fun to laugh at stupid Christian mums on Facebook, which are probably the most demonic group of people that exists. Meditation and yoga can be a rewarding religious practice for all kinds of people, even Christians. For most people in the West, it is about stretching, breathing, and having some self-reflection. For me, it's about having tight hamstrings. Of course, it doesn't summon demons. The way this post is written, as your kids grow, they'll get rebellious, depressed, etc., that sounds like a bizarre get-out-of-jail-free card for some failing that she feels she has with raising her kids. I don't know, maybe that's a bit of an out there guess, but that would explain it. I got a desk covered in plastic and emojis. Barbie's boobs light up. I guess I'll go clean this up. What is my life? I hope you found this fun and silly and maybe a little bit informative. That's kind of what I was going for. That's what I experienced through this stupid post, so I wanted to share that with you. And just, it's stressful out there, there's a lot going on. Let's laugh at what we can and enjoy some silliness. Thank you so much for watching. Before we go, as always, I would like to give a huge shout out to my giant chickens over on Patreon. A very confused looking badger, Alltag, Amalgam of Neuroses, Amber, April Washburn, Azku, Baked Bads, Bert Whitehead, Brian B, Cackles the Spoopy Noobie, Chantale, Charlie Edwins, Chris Simpson, Connie Wright, Connla, Chicken Maximus Lyons.
God damn it, Connla!
Curious Quakka, Daftward, Dave Kircher, Denny5252, Dr. Mint, Dreffed, Eamonn Sheridan, Elle, FalcorTheGinger, Faye The Succubus, Flash Prez Blue Wolf, Fulcrum, Gaming Ridge, Gay of Reckoning, George Bush, Gravy, Henry Curtis, Izzy, Jan Bojarp, Jason Metcalf, Jeremy Buck, Joe Rowe, John Fry, John Smith, Kent Woodward, Kike, Kiwi Satan, Christian Varga, Lizzie Gale, Mark Threlfall, Mattis McChicken Nuggetus, Miles Tegg, Mr. Creosote, Nerd Fiction, Neve Coughlin, Ninja Red, Piao Meow Noir, Peter Kerouac, Plux, Psyched Dude, Rasbatom, Rosina Keller, RPG MP3, Sarah Shavy, Sean, Silly Christie, Simping on Emma Thorne, Seriously, Tysau, Tanklow, Taxman, The Shropshire Lad, Thomas V. Lohmeyer, Timothy Avery, Tracy O'Rourke, Valerie, Wasatch Witch, Zabba and Zeroless. Have a very lovely week, and I will see you really soon.